The UN chief told this annual gathering that people of the world had the right to live in peace. And while some progress had been achieved in places like the DRC and Sudan, concerns far outweigh the little positive momentum that exists.
We are facing the alarming possibility of armed conflict in the Gulf, the consequences of which the world cannot afford. The recent attack on Saudi Arabia oil facilities was totally unacceptable. In a context where a minor miscalculation can lead to a major confrontation, we must do everything possible to push for reason and restraint. And I hope for a future in which all the countries of the region can live in a state of mutual respect and cooperation without interference in each other's affairs.
He called it a time of dysfunction and transition in global power relations, with a new risk looming on the horizon.
I fear the possibility of a great fracture, the world splitting in two, with the two largest economies on Earth creating two separate and competing worlds, which with their own dominant currency, trade and financial rules, their own internet and artificial intelligence capacities, and their own zero-sum geopolitical and military strategies. We must do everything possible to avert the great fracture and maintain a universal system, a universal economy with universal respect for international law.
The US president, for his part, said the future belonged to patriots, not globalists, reiterating his America First stance, and despite the SG's call, used this platform to go after China.
The United States lost 60,000 factories after China entered the WTO. This is happening to other countries all over the globe. The World Trade Organization needs drastic change. The second largest economy in the world should not be permitted to declare itself a developing country in order to game the system at others' expense. For years, these abuses were tolerated, ignored, or even encouraged. Globalism exerted a religious pull over past leaders, causing them to ignore their own national interests. But as far as America is concerned, those days are over.
He called Iran one of the greatest global security threats, accusing its leaders of squandering that nation's wealth in pursuit of nuclear weapons, a charge Iran has long dismissed.
Hoping to free itself from sanctions, the regime has escalated its violent and unprovoked aggression. In response to Iran's recent attack on Saudi Arabian oil facilities, we just imposed the highest level of sanctions on Iran's central bank and sovereign wealth fund. All nations have a duty to act. No responsible government should subsidize Iran's bloodlust. As long as Iran's menacing behavior continues, sanctions will not be lifted. They will be tightened. Iran's leaders will have turned a proud nation into just another cautionary tale of what happens when a ruling class abandons its people and embarks on a crusade for personal power and riches.
Brazil's president, who also spoke during the opening session, rejected attacks on his government's handling of recent fires in the Amazon.
Problemas qualquer país os tem.
We all know that all countries have problems, yet the sensationalist attacks that we have suffered, coming from a large part of the international media due to the fire outbreaks in the Amazonian region, have aroused our patriotic sentiment. It is a fallacy to say that the Amazon is the heritage of humankind, and a misconception, as confirmed by scientists, to say that our Amazonian forests are the lungs of the world. Using and resorting to these fallacies, certain countries, instead of helping, embarked on the media lies and behaved in a disrespectful manner and with a colonialist spirit.
South Africa's country statement will be delivered by International Relations Minister Naledi Pandor on Saturday. The general debate continues. Sherman Brycepees, SABC News, New York.